Yeah, sorry about that, guys. The my computer crashed. So sweet. Um, hopefully everything is back up. Okay. Let me open up that game again. Yep, the cat came back. He's a good cat. Okay, so we are. Oops. Okay, so we're loading up. So yeah, I had just gone over different positioning on the map. In terms of our tank, the ELC AMX, we are a scout tank. So we're gonna try and, like I said, the position that I like to go to is this bush here, just behind it, so you can kind of see through and try and spot guys crossing this way early, either to just give your team either information or if they can get early shots on him. The other thing you can do is go up north here and try and play in some of these bushes and look through. The only thing is, with your fixed turret and not really a lot of gun depression, if you have to commit over a hill, sometimes you get spotted and punished for that before you can really do anything effective. The other thing you can do is you can actually come in right here early and look on the side of the house down this lane and just get early lights. Chances are you're going to get lit yourself by looking down there, but you know, once again, it's really about giving your team information to say, hey, these are the tanks going south, or these are the ones that we were able to spot. Once early game's done, the ELC is very much a try and assist your team through spotting as much as you can and prey on the enemy from a range. So you're not looking to be the forefront of the attack here. You're looking for opportunities. So from here, depending on what you see going in here, depending on what your team might spot going down here, and depending on what might get spotted up north from your team going up north here, that's how you're going to change your gameplay and your game style of where you're going to go. When we look at tank compositions, you guys have a significant amount of TDs, more so than they do. So your team's probably going to be a little bit less aggressive. Your team is probably going to play like they're more waiting for them to come to you. The other thing too is your team is much lighter than them. You know, your top tanks are Indian Panzer and Type 59 in comparison to a low and T-32. Also, when you run down the list, you know they have an IS and a Tiger, and you have a T-25 AT and a T-25 too. So just from a health pool perspective, you're very much in the hole compared to them. So you know, part of this is gonna, because you're in a tank that really it can have an impact on the game, but you know, your health pool and what you can do is very much at the mercy of your team. So if your team doesn't play the playstyle of letting them come to you, it's going to be very hard to make up that HP differential, and I guess, yeah, basically win the game. So you're going to be looking to assist your team through spotting, taking advantage of opportunities that come up to you, and looking for weak points where you can maybe go through and get some quick kills or flanking. So we're just going to run it and see what happens. So a lot of your mediums are going north, which is fine. Like I said, you want them coming to you, so like I don't expect your team at all to really go down to that southern spot where I said heavies usually go. The Hellcat's sitting in the position that I talked about sitting in. Unfortunately, he has no recognition of the fact there's a Cromwell right next to you. You get an awesome hit on the Cromwell and start him on fire. I don't think you got lit from that either, so. And the thing about the ELC is it has this kind of really crazy gun for its tier and size. It has a pretty long reload and it's not very accurate, but if it hits hard, so. So you haven't seen a lot of the team just yet. One of the other interesting things is, I don't know how he's made it, but your KV-85 has literally made it into this nook and hole. I don't know. I think he's on this side as opposed to being on the other side. But then I would think he'd be getting shot by these guys. But he's made it into this weird position that I don't know how he's gotten there. As expected, I didn't really think you were going to have many guys do it down here, which is actually probably a good thing, because they're just going to die. But if this guy keeps going down here, he's probably just going to get thrown away against those top tier tanks. I'd almost like to see this JT back here, simply because from here they can actually kind of get shots up into this area, as well as you know, when these guys turn this corner, which they probably will if they sent their heavies down there. They can just DPM down through there. You have a fairly significant portion of your team north, which is kind of good for you because once they turn this corner, they're going to show you what's in this area, and it's going to allow you to say, okay, can I go this way, or you know, do I go back? How do I handle this position here? Because right now it's an unknown, and for all you know, like the ISU and the Hellcats could be down in here just waiting for people to get lit back here. So. We'll just keep playing it. For some reason I feel like this KV-85 is going to get nailed by RD, but we'll see what happens. So he's deciding to come out here, which it's risky in that, you know, if he gets spotted by that Cromwell or whatever, you still don't know what's back here that could hit. But you know, didn't get spotted, so worked out okay. But I mean, even the Hellcat was right there, right? So a few things just happened. This Chaffee basically told their team that you have nothing down here up until at least here, so they know they don't have to worry too much about their backside. I didn't realize I had it at half speed. The other thing too is your KV-85 decided to push through the middle for whatever reason and died because of that, which showed you where two of their tier 7 tanks are, but it didn't show you anything else on the map of where they are. So it's still very unknown where the enemy team is. So it looks like he's going to try and get a shot in on this this Hellcat, which he does, so he gets a good shot in. So your north is kind of pushing in good for you, so that's they're showing you where they are. The only thing I'd be worried about is now these TDs that may be in this back position here shooting up on them. The low has showed himself in the south as long as the T-32, which is where we thought they would be. And well, like I said, I don't really like the positioning of your JT, because had he been back here with the Dicker Max, they would have had side shots on these guys the entire time they were coming out. So north is pretty much yours, which so far, which is good. Now what you should be working on is getting lights for these guys in here. And not so much to kill them, but so that your team in the north, if they choose to come in closer to you, can help. Right now, it's kind of overextending a little bit because you know the SUs here and the Firefly are behind you, and now Hellcat's popped up, so it's kind of overextended a little bit there. But we'll see what we can do. Nice, get a nice miss from the. Is he looking your way? No, he isn't. Okay. So deciding to try and run away from this Firefly, doing a little zigzagging. Gets pretty lucky on that actually. That's good that he didn't hit you. Go back to your view. So it looks like he's trying to go and finish the Firefly. I mean, at this point in the game, it doesn't actually look that bad for your team. And you know, one of the things that I mentioned was that it's good that you guys didn't go south, because you didn't throw tanks away trying to combat heavy tanks in an environment where you don't have any heavy tanks, or that many. So your team did a good job of recognizing that, taking the north and applying the pressure on tanks that would probably not be the heavy tanks. So that's why we're at an advantage that we're at right now. Now, the job that you're going to want to be doing from here on in is getting in positions where you can passive light these south guys without throwing your tank away. So it looks like what he's going to try and do is go all the way around and try and use some of this bush cover over here to defend Cap, but also maybe spot some of these guys in this village, because that's really what you're going to benefit your team at this point, is to get lights on these guys so your team can punish them. Another opportunity or thing you could do here is go to Cap if you wanted, but it would be a little bit difficult to secure it given how close these guys are to it. So it looks like there's probably going to be an epic battle here with the Tiger 1, which the ELC at range or with camo will have the advantage, because he'll be able to spot the Tiger before Tiger can spot him. And as long as he uses that camo effectively of being behind the bush, going back to fire, going back out to spot. So here, you know, if he backs up behind the... So what he should have done there, and we've seen it in a few of our other replays, is he should have used that camo a bit more effectively. When he first lit him and the Tiger was over here, backing up behind that bush where it no longer becomes transparent and firing, chances are you're not going to get lit from that. And even though he would recognize, oh, he's hit me from up here, he still doesn't see you. Now that he's seen you, not only can he aim up directly to where you were, but you know, there's like a 9-second or whatever it is until you're unlit. So could have been a bit better on the execution of that. So now that you have him lit again, oh, that's too bad. On the other side of the map, we can see that the Type 59 is kind of working away over there, but chances are the low and the 32, so there's the 32, we're coming back to help clear that. So he's kind of going in now because doesn't really have a choice in terms of getting the cap pressure off. Because he's so low profile, he's trying to hug the Tiger because he can't actually depress at that range to hit him. So he's kind of just playing with him a little bit and trying to stay out of his draw. I'm surprised you're not getting tracked here at all. But you know, wargaming, right? So using your speed to get around him. Turret traverse on the Tiger is fairly slow, so it's not able to handle him. So he's doing well, like getting the damage in and dealing with it. It looks like the Tiger's given up. He's kind of been like, well, that was fun. I mean, that was a great solo kill on the Tiger. On the other side of the map, though, you know, you got 3 heavies and artillery piece. So the best option here is to regroup with your team, and I would be hopeful that the Indian Panzer would come back to you and the EO8 would come to you, and that they would leverage your scouting abilities to spot them, because you know where the entire team is. You know they're all in this region, and most likely all going north because that's the guy that's been spotted. So right now it's really not to your benefit to be split up like this, because now they know where the Indian Panzer is because they've spotted him. So they're just gonna bulldoze him in the south, and then if you come in the north, then they're just gonna bulldoze you. So it's kind of a combination of just being or pushing in silos, and it was kind of like in that KV3 game where, you know, the Panther was still up here when you guys were pushing in through here. So And not to mention that, you know, the T-32 is full health. That's a lot of meat to get through. So I mean, your best bet is like I said, regrouping as a team, and the Indian Panther is going to get pushed and died here. There's nothing you can do about backing out in time. Yeah. So at this point, it's you know, you have to let them come to you, and it's a defense cap sort of thing. So because you have the mobility, if you can get an early shot on these guys coming in through here, that'd be great. But it's going to be pecking away and trying to take them down as best as you can, and then run away and then take them down. So I'm assuming that T-32 is probably going to be coming through that gap now. And now you have to watch out for the IS and low coming from the north. So the low probably at this point, he's probably migrated somewhere in this area. Just going to speed this up a bit. Driving, right? Okay, so you spot him first. Gotta get the shot, good shot. It was a good kill. So that's what I said, you know, it's all about using those bushes to be able to spot and you know, predicting where the enemy is going to be, right? So when you're approaching these different sort of areas, you want to use, does he have a, he didn't spot it. Using the bushes and mechanics to your advantage. Okay, so they did spot you in the end. That's too bad that you got hit by that. Hey, I don't know why E8's pushing them, to be fair, but he is, so he's gone. Take a look back. Yeah. Ah! He's laying it down. Oh, there he goes. So I'll just keep taking this fast, see where you end up going. I mean, like I said, it's... So he's just trying to reposition to a different area of the map. And at this point, it's just a matter of... If you find them coming up this way, it'll be over. If you can see them from behind a bush before you... Then you might be able to get a shot. This was that hill I was talking about on this back side of the map here, where if you're playing... so that hill he just went over here, if you're playing this side from the east position, and if you're playing in here, they kind of come over that hill and shoot you, so just gotta be worried about that hill back there. You know they're both on cap right now, so it gives you a bit more information about how you can approach it. So he's gonna try and use some of these bushes to get a spot, and then try and put down some damage. The one thing I would say that you need to do in this tank specifically is when you have the opportunities to back up and shoot behind a bush, you're not doing it. So, for example, that bush right in front of you, you could have, I mean, obviously the timer's running out for the cap, but there's a lot of opportunities where you're going behind a bush, you spot them, and if you had just backed up, they wouldn't have spotted you when you fired. So I think that's something you can definitely pull into your kit is doing that a bit more. You definitely know how to play a tank. I mean, you got the 3 things on your on your tank, so I mean you have the 3 marks of excellence. But I mean, your team did a good job of recognizing your disadvantage in heavy tanks. You guys took the north quite easily. You know, there's not much you can do about your Jag Tiger 88 being in a position that isn't really good for him. It may have been a bit better when you guys had won the north to kind of concentrate your forces and push towards the cap, although I do recognize you came back and killed the tiger and there might not have been anyone else, but you know, it's a hard one, right? Because you went there, you know, your team died over here, and you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. But really, I think the camo and using that behind the bushes and backing up to fire is really something that could have been maybe a bit more effective for you there, because even on that arty kill, like if you backed up at the end there, shot the arty, killed it, didn't get spotted, and then just shot the low, you wouldn't have had to spend 15 seconds or whatever it was to reposition because you were lit and then try and fire again. So I think that would be a good thing to put into your repertoire there. Yeah, Transfusiionz, I mean, you did 3,000 damage in an ELC when you're tier 5 and a tier 8. Like, you know, I'm not saying by any means that you did poorly. It was just, like I said, that mechanic would definitely aid you. So the next one, and hopefully he has not gone to bed, is Fredder 525 in his E100 on Redshire. Now this is a bit of a stray away from what we traditionally are looking for in terms of draws or losses. It's a win. And the reason I'm showing it is because not only is it, or does it look like an epic game in damage. I mean, he has over 8,000. Hey, Fredder, he has over 8,000 damage. What are some other stats we can throw out there? Damage blocked by armor, almost 4,000. Detected and assisted with over 1,300 damage. But Fredder, when he talked to me about it, he said, you know, I think that'd be a good game to watch, simply because it demonstrates a lot of armor mechanics and ammunition types and when to use them, and a lot of different core skill sets that, you know, are really good to see. So I thought from an educational standpoint it would be a good one to look at. So without further ado, I'll just get right into it. Okay, so we are on Redshire. We've seen this one a few times in the past on different replays, but just a quick rundown. Your heavier tanks generally will go over here. Mainly things that can kind of hull down pretty good or take a bit of a beating will go over there. It's a bit more difficult if you're taking squishier tanks like some of the French, like 50Bs and stuff like that. Your kind of mediums and some tank destroyers, depending on who and how you play, will be in this area from the south to get shots either through people who get lit in here early, or if anyone on this side decides to get a little too high and crest on this side of the hill. You also can get some shots on their back hill here as well. There's also the one line. It's kind of a hit or miss on who goes there. Sometimes you'll have tank destroyers kind of anchor the post back here. Other times you'll have mediums and lights trying to push up it. It just kind of depends. Also, you'll sometimes see tank destroyers and whatnot come back down here. Artillery generally likes to float in this area back here, but they can also be sticking around in here depending on what they want to be. From the north, same thing. Your heavies and whatnot are going more or less over here. Sometimes people will sit on the back side of this hill to shoot anyone in here who's lit, and they'll play kind of the back ridges of this. Your tank destroyers are sometimes up in here or anchoring this line as well. A few key things off the start that are really helpful for any tier really is if the scout tanks, when you have them, go to specific positions. Up from the south, there's this bush right in here, these bushes right here on this hill. If you can get in those fairly quick, you can get some pretty good, you'll light anyone who passes along this river here, giving your artillery and anyone good shots going along. And then from the north, there's a bush right in here that if you get there soon enough, whatever, you'll light anyone crossing in here, which can get shot from the hill up here as well as artillery. So if we look at tank composition, you guys definitely have it heavier in terms of actual heavy tanks and those who can take a bit of a beating. So you're probably going to do a bit better along the 9-0, or expect to at least. There are a lot of tank destroyers on both sides, but at top tier there's a lot more on there, so you have to be a little bit worrisome about, you know, a 183 and someone like that hitting you pretty hard. There's only one artillery piece, so, you know, especially against an E100 or a mouse, it's going to be, you know, yes, if all 4 shots hit you, it's going to suck, but you know, it's not, because of their reload being over a minute, and you can count how many shells they have. If they don't prioritize a target, it may not have as big of an impact, at least early game. So we'll kind of run it and just see where your team goes. So you got your scouts going into that middle spot here as opposed to the bush over here. So that's not too good for you, because now you don't really get a lot of information on who's crossing in here. I don't find it very effective going in here where they are, because once you get spotted, you have to come back on the backside of the hill, and, you know, chances of you lighting a lot of people are small. So you've been lit. So what that tells me when you getting lit like that is that they sent that AMX actually went here, because he can light everyone going in here. So one of the things that I would recommend in the future is, when you're taking a line in here, especially with a much heavier tank like that, just go a bit wider. Just, you know, because when this yellow line, the McAfee range, if this bush is on the outside of it, so if you took this path right here, you just won't ever get lit. So you'll never become a target for artillery right off the bat, and you never will get shot by anyone on this back side of the hill, because you're still within their render range, and they'll still be shooting at you. So just something to keep in mind, just off the movement sort of thing. You got some JTs with you. You got an E75. You got the WT at the back, which is going to be nice. Your mouse is on the way, though he may get hit, because he's going to, yeah, see, he just got hit. So basically your team has already lost, what is that, 400-ish health, a bit more than 400 health on your E75, like 500 something on you, and then your mouse also lost about 400 something. So that's a lot of hit points just to lose right off the bat going into this engagement, just because that one scout got there. So there, your Taurus got hit as well. So that's what I mean, is that one thing has already taken over 1,600 hit points from your team. Okay, so I'm gonna just watch from you, because we want to see some of the different things he's using. So you can see he's shooting AP right now. Typically what you'll see a lot of players in the U100 do is shoot heat, just because the AP round only has a penetration value of 235, whereas the heat has a much higher one. So he's going for the kill here, gets the kill on the 130, or 103, sorry. The other thing he's seen is that there isn't, you know, and we talked a little bit of this at the start in terms of tank composition, is there's not a lot of heavy meat at the top that's going to be able to hold, you know, an E100 and a mouse back. So you've already gone around the corner and seen that there was a M103, he's dead, and the VK is the only one visible in here. Now something hit you from the back here, but, you know, given the amount of HP you guys here, you guys can pretty much roll down this hill and just take it. And the reason I say that is because, you know, well, for one, there's an E4. That's one big gun that's down on this side. And if there's waffles that are back there and they're gonna shoot you, they're gonna melt really quick with all these tanks coming around the corner. So we'll just kind of see what you end up doing here. Go back to your view. Still have AP loaded. So that WT just hit your E75. You got the kill. Okay. See, and the thing is, he's pretty safe to push this, because for one, artillery just fired on the move and missed. But if they want to crest over that hill, they're going to get lit and they're going to take damage. So he's doing fine. He's just pushing through. So that's at least 2 from the artillery. I don't know if I didn't see any other ones fire, but if that's 2, then only has 2 more max. Other side's relatively holding. And you can kind of push this T-30. The T-30's reload, I think, is about 18 seconds. So you have about 18 seconds to kind of get around and get a shot on him. Wow. That was an amazing shot. So with a gun that isn't as reliable, he basically snapshotted the couple of a T-30 with AP. Not easy to do. Your IS-8 took a little bit of damage there that he really didn't need to take. You want to be a little careful here coming out side profile like that, because you kind of have to stick out a good bit of it to see over that hill. So we're still shooting AP. Is he going for it again? Don't tell me you got it. Okay. See, it's a pretty hard shot to reliably hit, especially with this gun, but we try. Now, if we just take a pause here real quick and look at the map. Although you've crushed this side, you guys did invest so much on this side that now you've kind of overloaded it, and now you're stonewalled by these different TDs that are all sitting. Like, you have a 183 on the hill, you have a T95 on the hill, you got a T30, you got a WT. Like, those are all big guns, and we still haven't even seen the 2 waffles. So at one point, there's you don't have a lot back at the base. You have an E4 pushing it. You don't know what's down this line with that E4. It could be the waffles. So at some point, you're either going to have to make the call to push here, or start kind of selectively heading back. But we'll just kind of see how it plays out. See if we can get a good hit on this guy. Your E50's already called it a GG. That's too bad. Because it's not over by any means, but so you can see a lot of those guys are up on the hill right now. Get a good hit on the WT. That's interesting that you weren't lit, but he was. Yeah, but kudos for you for your camo. To see if you can get the kill on him. You're still shooting AP, so it's these are not like auto going through. So you get the kill on the 183. That's a good kill. Your base is, by killing those people and having a bit more presence here, you've started to bring them back a bit. Now who knows where the E4 is, but if he's alone down there, that's kind of okay because you still have a WT-100 down there. So if you can get the kill. Yeah, that's too tough of a shot. I mean, I probably wouldn't have tried for that one just because of the reload it takes for you to do it, and there were some other targets that were out there, but I'm not too sure what your JT is doing. I mean, nobody should keep going around this corner except for you holding it down, because there's really no advantage to going out. And this WT, is he really just gonna... Oh. Yeah, well, I'm going to speed it up slightly. E4 died in the south, so you're more or less done in the south, because if you look at tank count, right, you know where the T95 is. He's very slow. He's not moving. T30 is not going to move because he's one hit, essentially. WT100, you know where he is, and Leo PTA, you know where he is, and chances are artillery is either up here or he's starting to move down here, but that's okay. And now you don't know where the other WT100 is, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have gone solo down here somewhere. So you can kind of, from an educated guess, just assume that he's in this area as well, or has shots down into you. See, that there's no point for that JT to be there, because he can't withstand the punishment like you in that position. and from the targets that were up there, he was going to have a hard time getting through them. I still don't know how you went through with AP on a T95 on the top like that, but that was a good kill. So that's the other WT100. The other thing I want to show real quick, right before that hits, this is an awesome pause, is he loaded HE. Now we've seen it on a few other tanks hitting, and the reason why he has HE loaded is because there are certain tanks, such as the WTE100, as well as the Roomba and the WT Panzer IV, that have virtually no armor on their turret. So, for example, his turret there, where you can see that round right now, is about to hit. It doesn't have a lot of armor. So the penetration value of his gun has more will penetrate that. And if you look at the damage, it's going to do 950 versus the regular 750. So just going to, oops. Come on. 1 second. Come on. This is not working. Okay. So, so yeah, that hit for 971, which isn't a terribly high roll, but it's still pretty damn good, right? I mean, this thing hits for 970, but it can hit for over 1,000 on that one. So yeah, it was a pretty good shot, and you know, so whereas it might have taken 3 shots, he can now, you know, if he had 2 high rolls, could have killed twice, like there, right? He just 2-shot a WTE 100. So, you know, sometimes, especially on these bigger caliber tanks, is shooting the right ammunition is really crucial, because it can mean the difference between 2-shotting a WT100 and 3-shotting them and allowing them to get in range when you have a 16-second reload and they can just clip you. So that was a pretty big hit, to be honest. And he was lucky; it could have low rolled, but it didn't. So he's kind of going on a little bit of a venture here. You know, the PTA's in the south, so you don't have to worry about being, you know, outflanked or whatever from a medium. The WT100 is, or last spotted in the middle, and because your team's on the inside, you know he's not anywhere on this inside piece here just yet, but he's probably somewhere on this back side here. So by coming around this way, he's just effectively scouting this north as best as he can for that artillery piece, but also coming around and flanking the WT100. So yeah, we'll speed up a little bit here. Now WT's coming around on your boys, or tried to a little bit. I mean, you still have to be cognizant about that arty here, so if you do commit to go over the hill, just make sure you're kind of trying to be as artillery safe as you can. So we'll just keep seeing. And you see in terms of his ammunition here, he has AP loaded, but he has HE queued up. Woo! So it goes boom to that, it loads HE. And we have the Leo on cap, but we have 40 seconds, so we know we have a bit of time. He just smacks him. Love it. I love that HE. So I don't. It's a risk to go over, but he's just trying to bait the. What he was doing there was, because of his angle, and where he was at, he was hoping and baiting the WT100 into shooting his lower plate at that angle, but because it was such a severe angle, that's why it bounced. Now he took one hit going over, but he was assuming that he could get up high enough to be able to shoot, because if he could shoot, he's going to kill it before he got clipped. So he did, and now it's just a matter of cleaning up the Leo PTA. And now we have the E50 back on our side, who thought we were going to lose earlier. PTA's thinking he's okay right now. Oh, do you get him when he backs up? Nah. Yeah, so I mean that was it was a good show of, you know, recognizing your team had the HP advantage of being a bit more aggressive over here. Your team almost threw it away by trying to turn the corner over here. I mean, teams usually make the mistake where they get comfortable with the lead and they're like, oh well, obviously we're up like 4-3, so we can push this corner. But if you actually look, they still have 12 tanks alive, and before you know it, you've lost 5 tanks. So, and because you've overcommitted over here, it would have been very easy if they committed more of their stuff down this way when they saw you here and just left their TDs here, because you guys were stalled for a long time over here, and they could have done that. But you know, kudos for you for being able to pull that one out. And those HE hits on the WT were definitely game changers. And the other thing too is what the HE does when it penetrates is it's exploding in the inside, and it kills crew, it kills modules, and you can really wreck those things up. So appreciate the replay there. And we will head into the next one. The next one is E5 game from Axej. This is the same individual I did that kind of impromptu replay thing for the other day. So I'm just going to download this. Yeah, man, I didn't mean to keep you up. I really appreciate you sending the replay in before and having the patience to kind of wait it out and stick with it. So hopefully that was, I mean, I know it was a win, so yeah, hopefully, I don't know if you learned much from that, but yeah, take care, man. Have a good night. Yeah, I hope you do too, man. I'm gonna be posting probably tomorrow the thing for the third episode, so hopefully you get in on that. So this is an E5 game on Airfield. And we had Airfield a few times before, actually. I remember it was Gadzooks was on Airfield. So we talked a little bit about positioning on this, right? You know, your heavier tanks are more so in here, but we had to watch out about those firing lanes for artillery, especially if they're in the south. We talked about TDs potentially going up here and how the lights like to kind of poke around up in this north area here. Mediums and whatnot will play in the middle, as well as take these 2 pedestals on each respective side. So in terms of the tank compositions that we have right now, 2 E5s at the top, okay. I mean, it's a relatively easy spread. At the lower tiers, you guys are a bit more heavier. The artillery is more or less even. Theirs could be considered even a bit better. Scout tanks across the board. It's not a heavily imbalanced game. You have to watch out for that 263. 263s are mean. They're very high DPM. Arguably hard to penetrate depending on what you're shooting and where you're shooting them from. The main kind of issue I think for you on this map is really going to be you'll probably find yourself in a position you know, if you say, for example, you went over here where you can't push because you're looking at a 263 and a 183, and you can't stay because you're getting artillery by a conch GC and whatever. It's kind of a hard map to play like that. So, you know, I would expect you're probably going to go over to this area here, but I would hope that you would play it fairly safe. So we're just going to run it here, speed it up a little bit. I mean, you can play the middle in a heavy tank like this because you're fairly hull down and reasonably mobile. But if you do play over here, it means you're taken away from a heavy tank over here, which means your team's, you know, a little bit of a man down over there if they push aggressively. So you notice that you have, you know, we talked about, you know, the light tanks like to come up here and try and go in these positions to get early scouts and lights. I don't particularly like it because I think it's kind of a throwaway for your tank. Because now once you're there, I don't know. You know, that being said, if we look at who's playing that 1390, it's a member of G. And I guess why I say I don't really like people going there is because they don't play it as effectively. So for him, what he's probably going to do is, assuming none of this artillery kills him instantly, he's going to get delit, and then he's just going to weigh it out and act like he's not there, right? You know, as long as no lights go to him, and as long as he doesn't poke out to remind us he's there, he's going to stay there, and then when you least expect it, he's going to come out and shoot you in the bum. But we'll see what he ends up doing down there. For you, it looks like you're going to be trying going up here, which sometimes you can do. The issue is if they have faster tanks in here, by the time you're like just right here, they can be on the backside here shooting you. So I actually like to stay just down here first off and then get a shot in on anyone going up the hill. The RU is already up there, but if anybody else tries to come up, you'll have a shot on them. You can also see that the Type 61 is in the south, and your 62 is pushing. He's probably going to try and get into a position over here as opposed to getting up just yet, but we'll see how it kind of plays out. See, like that E5, you could have had a shot on them, and the consequence of not only you going up here was whatever was here was going to light you, and before you were able to get up, the TDs at the back up here have a firing lane right down there, so they hit you. But could you imagine if that E5 hit you on the way up as well as one of the TDs, and that was the 263 that hit you? Imagine if the ISU hit you as well, or the 183. You know what I mean? Like it's very difficult for a heavy tank to go up here for that reason, and you lose out on the opportunity to shoot or even track whatever's on this side coming up. Oh, and there's the 1390 just going to work on you, and you can't see him. So I mean, your guys all in here. We saw it on that AT7 replay. This is an arty lane. Because that guy's there, he's gonna keep all you guys lit, and that's just not very good. So we'll just kind of let it roll. You're 62 in the south. You managed to kill a 61, which is great. So we'll see what he does over the course of the battle. And this is that position on that pedestal that we kind of talked about, right? Being up here on this side, you can get some nice shots on people across all over this this side down here. So pretty fixated on this 34, trying to get some damage down on him. Now your guys are pushing down in the south. And you know, if we do a tank count here, right, we know, look at that, boom, big old bomb. You know that both E5s are in here. You know the 183's here. RU LTTB are here. 1390 is here. T34 E1. So that leaves a 263 which shot you from here, so you know he's here. That leaves 3 artillery pieces. Now you've seen some of them fire in here, so presumably some of them are down here, if not all of them. You don't know where an ISU is. You don't know where the Cent 1 is. So you really just don't know where 2 tanks are out of the entire team. Now with your bottom side here pushing in here, and majority of those tanks that you know up here, what you should be working on doing is as defensively as you can, protecting yourself from pushing up. So you were doing that already by shooting the T-34, but you have to kind of keep an eye on what these guys are going to do next, because if this force down here dies to these people up here, then that's not going to be well for you. So we'll just kind of see how it plays out. And it doesn't really help that your KV-4 is still in an RD lane. See, he just died to artillery by just being there. So that was a waste of 2 tanks. That's too bad. Thanks for the follow, Gazoo. I appreciate the replay earlier. I'll have it posted up on YouTube, and it should be in my past replays already because my game crashed earlier. You get a hit on the 1390, that's good. He's probably gonna try and, I don't know if he's trying to shoot you. It's kind of what's funny is that palm tree right in front of you is actually blocking or providing camo for the 1390. So what you can actually do is if you load up HE and shoot the base of the tree, it will knock the tree over. Which means he won't have that camo bush between you and him. So that might be actually something worthwhile doing and just remembering in the future. The other thing too is you remember how I talked about keeping these guys in the south alive? I realize you got a shot off on the 1390, but your objective is you need to keep these guys alive so they can continue around this side and start taking artillery and stuff. And so I believe you can. If you need to come back to this position here and try and get shots on these guys in here. I don't know if they're behind the rock to the point where you can't hit them, but you can definitely see down there from here. So we'll see if you head back there. You'd probably have shots on that ISU. You would have shots on that 263 right now. Still have shots on the 263. You could track them. I mean, they've taken the one. You guys have great. So you have great position down there. But now your teams, see how they just took over 1,000 damage or 1,000 hit damage. You have shots on the RU. You lose a tank, you lose 2 tanks. Still, you have all these shots back here, and you could be preserving them, and you're fixated on this 1390 in the north. RU's flanking behind. You have shots on him. You have shots on him. You still have shots on him. He's going back towards your arty. He's going to kill your arty. And you're super fixated on that 1390. Yeah, you have shots on the ISU right now. Like the north is not what's important right now. They're stalled, at least until they whittle down these guys in front of you. And so now you're gonna lose both your artillery. Well, yeah, 2 of your artillery. Your guys in the south have fallen because those TDs had free reign on them. And you're still just fixated on what's happening in front of you. You have shots on the 263. So yeah, it's I'm not too sure. Maybe if you just got really fixated on killing the 1390, but there was a lot of opportunities to help your southern guys. Like even still now, there's the 152, but at this point, it's not much of a contest anymore. But yeah, I think that the big takeaway is early positioning. You could have had early shots on that E5 without taking damage. And then once you were up here, you were leveraging it early and great on that T-34, but then you became very fixated on the 1390. And you know, like I said, that palm tree was giving him camo between you and him, so you were actually kind of helping him by not taking that push down. If you took it down, you might have a bit more of a spot on him. And then, you know, when you recognized, well, you know, when I did that tank count, knowing that only 2 tanks were missing, and you knew majority of them were in the north, and you guys had a majority of your tanks in the south pushing, you needed to protect them as much as you could from here. And you had multiple shots on the ISU, the 263, the RU. You could prevented your artillery from dying. There was a lot of things you could do, but very, very just fixated on this side of the map. So. So, I mean, that's really where this one went wrong. But yeah, appreciate the replay again there, Axej. I know I can always count on you to throw me a replay, right? So that's all the replays that I actually had. But because well, the stream or my computer crashed, I will do a couple more because it's already going to get cut into 2 sessions regardless, and you know, I have time. So I don't have the links to any of the stuff. I know that Transfusiionz, you had posted one, and then I believe it was Alex had posted another one. Because my computer crashed, I don't have those links anymore, so feel free to post them in chat if you want, and we can take a look at those last couple replays. Is that smiley face part of it? Texting a lady friend. It's okay. Alright, so this next replay is from Transfusiionz, and it is in a 704 on Abbey. So we'll get this one downloaded, and I don't know if Alex is... Alex, you're still here. Do you have your replay as well? Or if anybody, Transfusiionz, you have... do you still have in the chat log the link that Alex put in for the replay? Because we'll get to that one after as well. Okay. So just opening up the replay here. No. That's no worries. Okay. So Abbey. I can't scroll up Transfusiionz because my computer crashed and it lost all the history that was in the chat. Abbey. So this map is well, I won't even put personal things on it. Normally your heavier tanks are either going to be going the 1-2 or the 8-9. It's kind of more of a preference thing. I don't typically like the 8-9 because I think once you go that way, if you see a big TD, it's very hard to push it effectively without getting artillery or hitting the side from people on the back side of the Abbey there. On this side, you can kind of push the one line without getting artillery and play more tank on tank sort of action, or you can take an aggressive position up in the 2 line here. Your lights and mediums will usually try and play for the middle here. Whether or not they actually push up into the Abbey is dependent on whether they do that or not. Usually the team that has the more lighter medium force will take that, but not always. It's a little bit of a risky thing because there's a good chance that you're throwing away your tank sometimes when going up there, especially if there's a lot of mediums out there. Just looking at your guys' tank composition, you're not. I mean, you are heavier than them. They have an IS-7 and an IS-4, but you have an IS-4, E100, a VKB or a VK 72. So you have a bit more health at the top end of things. Sometimes what I like to do, especially when I'm in like a tank destroyer or something that has a big gun, from the south side, you can kind of position here early game, and if some of your guys go up here, they don't even have to commit. If they just go to light, and even you with your view range can light here from here as well. Enemies coming up this path and get an early shot, just one shot in on them, and then you want to move after, because chances are you're going to get artillery if you stay there. But that's an easy way to just get some early damage off. From the north side, it's a little bit harder because of this building here. So there's bushes on this side and this side. I find this side's a little bit easier because the firing lane shoots more in this way, whereas on this side you're kind of limited to only one aspect of it. Thanks for the follow, Drunk Lenny. Love it. So that's kind of how it plays. Mediums and lights sort of play in this playground here. TDs usually camp on the back sides of the 8-9. Sometimes you'll see heavies push on there, sometimes not. You'll have TDs camp on the backside here in the north and backside here in the south, and you'll have your kind of heavier tanks do more battle out here. So when I look at the tank compositions here that you guys got, I think it would be a good spot for you to go here off the start, and depending on your view range, or if you have any tanks that go up like the Pershing to just see, or even the Batchat to kind of poke up a little bit, you can maybe get an early shot off and see what happens. There's a decent amount of artillery in the game. You arguably have the advantage in terms of artillery because of the M53-55 is a rock solid artillery that I've grown to hate just because it hurts so much and it's so accurate. But it's arguably better to have 2 of those over a 58. So we'll just speed this up a little bit.
Let's get this show on the road.
See where you take it. So it looks like you're going to be holding down the 8-9. Your Batchat's doing that run in the mid, so like I said, the ISU's gone there to get the early shot, and had you been there at least just for the first shot, if you guys hit something, a double tap of like 1400 is pretty huge. I might even just look to the mid to see if something like that happens. So most of your heavies, well, I shouldn't say actually most of your heavies, some of your heavies are going north here. You got an E100 IS-4 with you, so you have a good complement of heavy force coming with you here. There was no shots that landed in the middle here, no artillery and no TDs. So hopefully you can get some shots on the E75. Well, not you, but your team. And you can see here what Transfusiionz is doing. He's sitting behind the bushes here to light whatever comes through here, but also to remain camouflaged behind all that. I'm surprised the E75 got up there so easily with no artillery hitting him and none of the TDs that were sitting here. So still not a lot of information on where the enemy team's kind of position. Good news for you on this side is the IS-7's on the other, so you don't have to deal with him. Your E100's making a pretty significant push, so he's either going to spot something back here or it's going to be a clear 8-9. Your IS-4, I don't know why he's staying back so much. It looks like he's trying to get shots on the middle, but there really isn't any shots on them when they're that far on that side. Okay, so it looks like you're going to get a shot here on a... Oh, too bad. Your bat's kind of doing something funky in the middle here. Even if we just do a tank count right now, you know, and this is something I just love to do in games. If I'm always in a game and I'm wondering what's my next move, I just do a tank count. I try and predict where the enemy's going to be and then make a decision based on it. So if we do that right now, we know, you know, if we go through the line, the IS-7 and the IS-4 are on the other side. The E5 is on the other side. The FV is in the middle. Artillery, chances are they're somewhere along the back lines here, or they could be down here, but chances are that when they see this, they're probably going back somewhere over here. So they're probably in more this area. You have one E75 that's in the middle. That's this one. You have another E75, and he's been spotted on the other side. You have your E1 hasn't been spotted, so you don't know where that one is. You've spotted one of the 704s over here. They're not in a platoon, so don't assume they're together. And T-34, don't know where he is. Panther 2, don't know where he is. So really you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unknown tanks. But this E100 is fairly far along this path and has only seen the T-28. So after he's down, you're probably good to move up a fair bit. And you could even, on this 8-9 path, there's actually ways to get up on this middle part here. And whether you get shots into base or do whatever, come back into the fight this way, you can kind of do some stuff. So basically, moral of the story is, your team's pretty outnumbered over here, and although you haven't seen anything, it's pretty safe to probably move up to these positions. And it's going to be good too when these guys go to this corner if you do go in here, because you can kind of create another flank on guys coming up. Alright, so you get the kill on the T-28. Your bad jet's running through the middle. Your other side's probably going to be able to hold fairly long, because you do have some weight over there, and as long as they don't push, you should be able to hold. Your bat gets crushed by the 704 that we didn't know where it was, and he's kind of in a position where I would have expected him to be. And the FV's kind of working on him too, so that's too bad about your bat, just kind of throwing away life. You do get a shot on the FV, which is good. The other side's starting to lose, so your side has to start doing some stuff soon. Good kill from the Arty. I mean, it still looks like they're more or less contained over there. I mean, you're kind of flanking. They've almost overextended and just settled into each other. You know, so at this point, and you were doing a little bit of it when you're killing that FE. You need to cause distractions so people turn their heads away from these guys as much as they can. So I think you're trying to come up here as well, but you might have had a little easier of a path on here, or yeah, I think in here is the easiest one. So we'll just kind of see what you end up doing. Now, hopefully your E75 doesn't try and push this, but it looks like he's getting surrounded, so that's not good. So hopefully they were able to push that 704 back a little bit where you're able to get a shot, but your U100's taking a lot of damage from that 704 for looks like not a lot. You don't have shots on the mid guys because they're behind the Abbey, so hopefully you can get a kill or do some damage to this 704. That's too bad. You're lit now, and there's still artillery up, so just always got to keep in mind, last scene down here, he's probably moved more, so as long as you're behind this house, you're probably safe. The other side's still holding a little bit, but you know, you're not going to have a lot of time. So I'd probably get in there and start doing some work, because these guys from the middle can't hurt you if you were able to drop down over here. It's just if you stay up here, that's when they can hurt you. From the middle. I mean, your other side's still holding up. I'm impressed that they were able to do as much as they are. I still don't think they're gonna live through it because there's still an IS-7 and IS-4, E-75, ISU, 704. But you know, IS-7 goes down. So you kind of felt like you were stuck there. So you're dropping off. It's yeah. It's just funny how that one 704 was able to kind of like contain those two tanks. It's too bad. So I mean, at this point in the game, I think you're doing the right thing in regrouping with your team. You can't really push all that by yourself. And I mean, yeah, so you're not so worried about the end game. Just curious what he could have done to avoid the tragedy that happened at the end. Okay, so there's a tragedy at the end. Good old artillery. So I mean, the nice thing is you still have some big artillery pieces, and if you can spot some of their stuff, you know, they'll be able to whittle them down. Looks like you're probably going to get the kill here on this ISU as long as the M53 doesn't bump you. Oh, that's too bad. So you want to watch out for RDC. You don't want to go too forward. You get the kill, that's good. Getting that already safe. Ooh. I'm surprised he tried to make a move there. You know, within view range of a lot of stuff there. And he could have just stayed back in the bushes back there, or even tried to go on the back side there. So it's a big artillery piece to lose, especially when you're relying on. I mean, you guys can be the front line to spot, but you need them to do the damage. Oh. Now we're cornered. Well, the 704 behind you just fired, so you know you'll be able to get probably be able to kill him between your first shot and the second one you'll need for him, unless you ammo-rack. Ah! Sweet! Yeah, it looks like it penetrated, but whatever. Boom! Oh yeah. We'd like to see. So IS-4 is probably coming relatively soon. I don't know if they know where the M40 was. He's been damaged, so it might have just been splash damage from counter already, but see what happens. Oh yeah, smack him. So he probably proxy lit the M40. So artillery probably is shooting in on him now. If he's not reloading. You're just getting a feast here, aren't you? Smack him! That was a track too. So artillery just fired at you, and you know they're down here. That was the first round, so presumably he has 3. FV is kind of zoning you a little bit, but the other thing too is your gunner is dead, but it looks like you have a pack. You're not using it yet, so hopefully you use it, I guess. Hit him in the tush. Hit him in the tush. But I think, you know, if you repaired your gunner and you kind of just stayed aimed on that, you probably could have got another shot in on the IS-4. Smack him. You gonna repair the gunner? Why not? Ah, okay, there we go. Got her down. Oh, I7 or 4. Uh-oh, decisions. Oh my god! Yeah, you're probably never going to go through the turret of the IS-4 from that angle. There is a spot on the top of it if you're looking down, but from that angle it's probably not going through. That FV is not very smart though. You should be going around when you fire, but yeah, well, it's good for you. I mean, the funny thing is, they could be capping right now. They could be making, forcing you to come in. But instead, they're kind of playing with fire right here. Sweet. Just bouncing everything. I think that's 3 at this point, so there may be one more. Uh-oh. Boom. I think that's 4. I don't think he would have reloaded in between that gap. No track. Sweet. Oh. Doesn't this suck? Ah! No! Oh, come on. Really? Wow. Oh, so it wasn't the 3rd, so he did reload, so that means... What does that mean? Does that mean he has one more, or 2 more? 1 more. It would be 1 more at this point. So he has 1 more shell. Well, he just fired it, so... You can speed this up a little bit. Like, I don't know, is this a draw that comes out, or no, is it? I'm confused. Don't tell me you run off the edge and, like, kill yourself. You drown yourself? Is it a draw? Because he's faster. Like, it's probably going to be a draw. Unless he's running to reload and then you walk into him. How about that early, when you had the shot and you didn't have your guy loaded? Or your gunner medicked. I mean, that's why you couldn't aim on him, right? This is the worst part about, well, yeah. So, few things. I really think it's a strong position when in the south, and it does work to a certain degree in the north, to go to that early spot to shoot down the mid lane. I don't know how between an ISU 152, a WT, E100, and 3 artillery pieces that an E75 got up the middle onto the Abbey without getting hit, but if you were there shooting, I'm pretty sure that E75 would be dead between tracking and getting shot and whatever. I'm pretty sure he'd be dead. Now, it wasn't such a bad thing that you went 8-9. Like I said, that's a general spot where TDs do end up going. But when you saw from your E100 and IS4 that there wasn't much there, um, I mean, you weren't going to be going north all the way to go around. So you kind of had to realize that you had to do something different. And if you realize that you weren't spotting anything early, and then that the T28, once it went down, trying to reposition it and maybe get to a spot that's more effective for your team, whether that's coming back onto the top or even going back to 1-2 because of how long they stalled there. Like, could you imagine if after that T28, instead of going up on that hill and only getting the damage of hitting the FV once, you had just backtrack immediately all the way to 1-2? You may have actually got there in time to help the VK and the E5, and actually might have turned the tide over there so that you would have had more teammates alive. At the end, I think that was a big miss on not getting the gunner back up, because I mean, you saw it right there. You had a line on that Artie, and it was taking forever to aim, so you didn't fire. But then eventually you realized that your gunner was gone. So just be cognizant of which crew, and like, is your gun broken? Is are you ammo racked? And because those are your main components about you doing damage. Is can I reload fast enough? Can I aim fast enough? Those sort of things. Can I turret traverse fast enough? So yeah, appreciate the replay. So I guess nobody got that replay from Alex. I would love to do it, and it's just I don't have the link to it. I have probably time for one more replay. If anyone has one they would like me to look at. If not, then I'm happy to answer anyone's questions, or if anyone has a request before we kind of end it. Yeah, those situations get pretty tense. You don't want to screw it up, and you can take it. So it's just a matter of. I mean, one of the things I could do is I could pull up a replay of my own, if you want. See what I got here. I had a really fun one on. Was it Lakeville? I don't know if it will open. This one might be from an older patch, but I'll see if it works. It's too bad. This was a really good replay. I don't think. Ooh, I really wish it would have worked. We need a way to be able to look back on different replays. So what would be? I just have like really random ones. Like, what's this one? I apologize. They may all be wins, but I just have a bunch saved in here. Yeah, Transfusiionz. If I can't find a good one, I'll do that one. But if not, I'll see if no. Germany. Oh, this one's a good one. Um, so this is a game in my my IS-7, and it happened the other day, probably like 4 or 5 days ago. Um, I was playing with my buddy, and he's in his 50B, and so if we take a look at the map, this is Hidden Village. We've seen this one a few times before. Typically, your heavies are going to play this upper area here. Usually they'll go on top here where the rock is, or on the bottom road here, but sometimes faster ones will go down to the bottom in here. You always have to watch out about artillery pretty much anywhere on this northern side or southern side here, I guess. So that usually scares a lot of people from going up into that area. Your faster tanks generally go down into the city here to duke it out. And then your tank destroyers kind of lie in a few different places. You'll have some tank destroyers sit back here. You'll have some sit over here to look towards this city as well as the top of this hill. Some will play aggressive and come up all the way. You'll have TDs that are down here from the south position or back in here. They're kind of all over the place, really, and they're kind of like a peek-a-boom in a lot of situations. The other area that lights and mediums like to play on both sides, respectively, is this middle area here. There's just kind of a mound, and you can kind of either peek over or look to get side shots in the city. There's nice areas from this area once it's won on both this side and this side to shoot towards the city. In this matchup, if we compare tanks, we're definitely a bit more lighter. Our heavy tank in terms of the 50B is definitely not as survivable as an E5. Or an E4, and we have a lot more mediums. So chances are we should probably win out here in the city. But we might have a bit more of a challenging time up here with their T95, T30, E4, E5, IS8, IS4, a lot more heavier stuff than us. So I'll just kind of speed it up here a little bit. So if you look at the tank distribution like I talked about, more of our mediums are going down here with some of our lights, and more faster mediums going into the middle here to do some scout stuff. Just in general, we're pretty light up here. We got M103, myself, an IS-7, a 50B, and an IS-3 coming. There is a lot of artillery in the game, so that's another thing to be wary about, is both we can get hit and our guys can dish out. So my buddy here, Beefy, in the 50B, he's getting up there to get early lights and get some early shots, so he gets an early shot. Now I come up on this one. I don't really like coming up here, especially when there's a lot of artillery, just because I get an unlucky bounce there, by the way, just because I'm artillery bait. But with an IS-7 up there, you can kind of hull down fairly good. What I'm seeing is obviously Beefy was getting pushed there by an E5 in the bottom. He's clipped, so the E5 probably will push him now. I try and get a shot on that IS-4, but it just didn't work out. So I realized right here, I'm like, okay, I need to be the front meat for Beefy, because he just can't take any more damage. Like, I need him in the game. So I'm taking the low road position. I want to front it so that I take the hits, but then he can go out there and clip. So go the lower plate on the IS-4, take the hit, allow Beefy to get some damage in. So, like, if you just see what just happened right there, I hit for 482, Beefy hit 2 for over 400, so we just did 1200 damage to that IS-4 for a 438 hit he hit me for. So to me, that's an effective use of my HP, because we just traded 3-to-1 in damage. So once again, I'm going to let Beefy do some damage, but then now he's going to back up, and I'm going to try and put pressure in front so that, like I said, I took the hit for him. And once they've shot, we know their reload time, so we can between us dictate when we're going to actually put out damage and start pushing them. So it's very much a back and forth of I'm the wall in front of him when they come out, but then when they fire, I back up to allow him to do stuff.
Critical
So I don't get it going through in the low plate that time. And you notice I'm still shooting AP this whole time. I think eventually I do switch to APCR, but... So once again, you know, they're coming out. I get unlucky on the track there. It's a little bit, you know, because I have to turn in to protect him, sorry. So that one goes through, that's good. A little bit hard to maneuver, but I'm just trying to keep him alive. That's my objective right now. And I'm angling my tank as well so that I can, you know, get the least amount of damage on me. And, you know, if we just take a quick, you know, let's look at the map, right? Let's look at tank compositions, where they're at. E5, IS4, we know we have here. So that's our top two tanks. We know the Bat Chat was last seen here, and because we have city so much like this, chances are he's still in this grid. E4 was last spotted, where was E4 last? In the city over here, so that's not a worry for us. Artillery, most likely all three of them are in this pit somewhere back here. IS8, don't know where he is. Patton, down here, so he's not on us yet. T30, I believe last time he was spotted was right in here, so he's probably still there. T95 haven't been spotted yet, so we don't know where he is. ISU was down here, so I mean, of the unspotted tanks that could possibly come over here and deal with us, because we're really alone up here, right? I mean, there's the four of us right now, but we're really alone, and we don't know where this IS8 is, T95 or WZ. So we'll see kind of how it plays out. So I missed the lower plate shot on the IS4, and I know we really needed that one to get it out, but so Beefy's just trying to bait some shots, and so what just happened right there is the IS3 just died behind us. I get the kill on the IS4, but I do take a hit from it. Behind us, the M103 went down because the IS8 showed up, and he ended up dying. So Beefy's back there, and now Beefy is he's out. So Beefy's, if you look at the situation we have right now, it's me and Beefy. And we are surrounded, right? Like they, you know, which is good. That means we know where they are and they can't run away from us. This is fine. But at the same time, we're surrounded. So we have an IS8 coming behind. Beefy's on reload. He probably has about 20 seconds at this point. I'm just over half health. We've seen the T95 coming down towards us. We also see an ISU in the background. There's a T30 there as well, and an E5. So it's not looking good for us. But we'll kind of play it out and see what happens here. So Beefy gets hit. I kind of look back to see if I can do something with the IS8, and I think at this point in the comms, Beefy's just like, you know, focus on what's in front of you. So I kill the T30. I try and back up. So the reason why I'm backing up like this is I'm trying to minimize the amount of butt the people behind me can see. So I'm hoping the IS8 isn't able to shoot me, because you can even bounce off the back of the turret. Honestly, it's kind of trolly. And so I'm hoping the people behind me, by being so close to them, they won't be able to do much damage to me. And then in front of me, I'm going to try and angle myself so the C5 can't do damage. But I'm not in a good spot, so I'm hugging the IS8 behind me. Yeah, you know, Patton goes through, E5 goes through. That was a big kill from our Artie. That helped. I get a shot on the E5. Artie hits again on the E5. I don't go through because I'm shooting AP. And this is where it starts to get a little funny. So, for some reason, I mean, so the Patton he didn't stay there when he could have just kept shooting my back, primarily because of artillery hitting on him, as well as that T28. So he had to reposition, which made it so he didn't have a nice shot on me. And then if you look at my positioning right now, you know, if you were in that T95's position, which is right there, You don't have a very good angle to shoot on me because I've turned myself in slightly so that when he's shooting me, it's kind of like an auto bounce. And then when the E5 is shooting me from that close, it's kind of an auto bounce for him as well. So the positioning of my tank is crucial here because I'm making it as hard as possible for them to hit me. So, you know, he hits my track, doesn't go through. T95 bounces off my turret. It goes through on the E5. Once again, E5 bounces off my turret. Already misses on the E5. I kill the E5. ISU comes over. He's on an extreme angle. He bounces off me. Patton's right behind, so he goes right through. I get a shot on the ISU. Already ammo racks him. And then the 95 kills me. But I guess what I wanted to show in that is, you know, what were we at? There was me in my IS-7 and Beefy in his 50B, and even with him on reload, meaning he wasn't doing any damage, between the two of us, we were able to finish off the T-30 back there, kill the E5, get the IS-7, or sorry, the IS-8 already to killed, and also the ISU kind of suicide, got himself killed. So, you know, we did a 1, 2, 3, a 4 for 2 trade with a tank that didn't even have any ammunition loaded. And those are kind of the different the kind of plays you need, you know, that set you out from the rest, is recognizing how to use your tank given the situation you're in to really maximize the impact on the game to make sure it's a win. Because we went from, you know, if you add those 4 tanks back to their team, they're now up 8-6. So now we're on their base, we've taken out majority of their guys, and now you know, we've turned the game around. So I think how this plays out is we eventually win by killing all of them. And like I said, you know, a big component of us winning this game was we had more lighter stuff in the city, and what allowed them to work was us stalling so much up there on on the hill. So yeah, so that was that one. Yeah. So I don't know if I know it's only Transfusiionz and Drunk Lenny in chat right now. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything that's just a burning desire to ask. Because if not, I might... How do you get good? Honestly, man, it's through where I transitioned was I set a regiment in place. I basically said you get to play 20 games a night, and it doesn't matter what you play, just you only get 20 games a night. And your goal for each night should be to come out with a 3000 WN8. And so I did that. I would play tanks like... Well, I mean, I would play the tank lines that I was progressing on. So at the time, I was progressing on the E5 line. So I was playing my T29, my T32, and then my M103. I was going on the E50M line, so yeah, Drunk Lenny, I do play the German mediums. And you know, I play my Panther 2 as I got down those lines, E50. So, like I said, and it didn't happen right away. Like it progressed. Like I started out doing okay. Well, hey, I was playing at 2200 for today, and then like, oh, okay, I'm playing at 2500, and then okay, I'm playing at 3000, and then it became a regular thing where I was actually reaching 3000. Was kind of like what I was getting at, and some days I'd be better, some days I'd be worse. But the key for me was sticking to that regimen of 20 games a day. And that was like the limit. It was like you get there, you do that, you evaluate, and then go back. And then after that, I would do kind of not so much research, but I would watch people play. Like I think I learned a lot of. I first started watching Quickie Baby like way back, but then I realized I wasn't actually learning a lot from it. Um, it didn't give me a lot of insight. Um, and then I started watching Orznell, and he is a really knowledgeable, great mechanics, great player. I got somewhat turned off when he took a very he used to be a lot worse, almost toxic in a way, in his attitude. I think he's improved dramatically, and just kind of taking a step back in terms of unleashing rage and whatnot. He's much more calm, much more enjoyable to watch. So I'd definitely recommend him, Orznell, and then Zevin. Zevin's a very good of educating what he's doing, why he's going there, and it's very much how I've modeled these replays is after kind of his how he does things. So I would watch them after I played, and I would try and incorporate, what spots did they go to, how did they play them, what tanks were they in, and then I would, whenever I was looking up, oh well, I don't really know the reload time of a certain tank, I would go look it up. I'd be like, okay, reload of this tank is this, so I know that I have this much time to do something. Armor profiles, I'd look up what's the armor profile of this tank. Okay, so I can shoot it here, and then it's progressively learning on one layer on top of the other. Um, yeah, the Panther 2 is a good tank. The E50M line was one of the first lines I went down. So I actually didn't know a lot about the game just in general. So I didn't play the Panther or the Panther 2 that well or as well as they could have. It's a great tank for its tier. It has good penetration. The whole thing about that line is my headset turned off. The one thing about that line that you want to keep in mind is in order to you have really no depression over the front of your tank, but where you do have depression is when you look over the side of your tank. So when you look at going hull down and poking over hills, you kind of have to angle your tank to the side one way or the other, and slowly slowly go up the hill in that direction, but looking over the side of your tank to shoot over. And that will give you a lot more depression than shooting over the front, which exposes much less of your tank. It's great for ramming, like the E50 and E50M are amazing ramming tanks, especially if you get like controlled impact on them as a crew skill. Yeah, I really like them. I think they're great tanks, and if you use them correctly, they can just be absolutely devastating. Yeah, I mean, it's building on the knowledge layers there, Transfusion. I think one of the things that a lot of players lack is the um, kind of the instinct of when do I need to make a shift, when I need to move around. Um, Identifying when you need to make a move that's going to better your team, but maybe not better you. Like personally, do you know what I mean? Like, okay, we've been stalled on this flank for 5 minutes, but we're slowly losing on the other side, so somebody has to do something here, so I'm going to go out, kind of thing. Like there's certain moves like that just the average player would never think, because they're like, oh, well, losing HP is bad. Well, it's not always bad. Um, and like I said, you can learn a lot of those early game positions and how to control mid to late game by watching some of those better streamers. I'm trying to set up to be able to stream more often just when I play, but I'm having issues sometimes with latency when I do that. So once I can kind of get that all wrapped up, I'll be able to do that a bit more often. I mean, you see me do it a lot in the replays transfusion is I evaluate through tank count. I look at what's lit, I look at what has been lit, and based off of where tanks normally go on a mini map or on a map, you can kind of put a framework in place of where the enemy tank is probably going to be, and given your tank and your team composition and where you are, you can decide on what to do with it. Like there's been a lot of these replays where we've basically narrowed down. Okay, so there's 2 tanks missing. You have 4 people with you. You can push down this place. Like, yeah, you may take a hit, but guess what? You have 4 tanks. Like, you're gonna win that fight. Um, so it's really just about identifying those opportunities and or identifying when you shouldn't push. Like, hey, we don't know where these 3 tanks are. This is where they typically are. If we go around this corner, we're probably gonna get hit, right? Um, it goes the same way. So, uh, I think just improving on that. I mean, and there's simple things you can do. Just continuously evaluating. Okay, well, most of the team is here, so we can move here, or different things like that. It's definitely a lot of micromanaging and critical analysis of what's going on in the game. Well, if that's all that everyone has, I think I'm going to call it an evening. I really appreciate you guys submitting your replays. It's funny, my headset always keeps dying. Um, yeah, no, I appreciate you guys submitting replays and tuning in. Asking questions and whatnot. It's only going to get, the more people tune in, the more people show up, the more, you know, opportunities you're going to be able to learn from different examples of stuff that it comes up. So I'm going to be posting on Reddit probably maybe sometime tomorrow the thread for episode 3. So if you feel like you want to submit a replay for that, feel free. I'm hoping it won't get lost as much this time. When I posted it on Tuesday, there was only about I don't know, yeah, 4 people who responded to it. Definitely not as much traffic as before, so I might wait until later in the day to post it, just because I don't want it to get buried early thing. So look out for it on the Reddit World of Tanks. And if you like what we're doing here and you think it's helpful, I appreciate you upvoting it and getting it a bit more visibility. So with that, have a good night, and I will see you guys later. Take care.